A warm welcome to everyone for our PCQuest 35 years journey from 1987 to 2022. Today we will be discussing the future is open source. And for that, we have the perfect person in the form of Marshal Correia, Vice President and General Manager, India, South Asia, Red Hat. Welcome, Marshal.
Thank you, Sunil. And at the outset, I would like to congratulate you for your long 35-year journey.
Yeah, thank you so much. So now you have also been part of it, and it'll be great to discuss this journey with you too.
Looking forward to.
Yeah. So I actually, a lot of people say the future is open source, the open source era is here. But before we look to the future, I'd like to know how old is the open source movement and what are the areas that it currently dominates? If you could throw light on that first.
So I think this movement started, I think at MIT, early 70s. And basically what it means is you do a software distribution along with the source code so that it can be used, you can modify it, and you can further develop it. So that was the basic premise. And over here, it went from strength to strength, right? So, and there are many areas. In fact, today you do any activity, and you know what happened post-pandemic. Regardless of what you are trying to do, I mean, there were limitations. We weren't able to move. But all activities happened, right? We could order the grocery, you could do teleconsultation for medicine, you could still transact with the bank, you could still do online courses. So behind all this, whatever you do today, you book your airline ticket, you go to ATM and withdraw money, you do a UPI transaction, you do something with your Aadhaar or your GSTN, you would have touched open source somewhere. So it is that pervasive. Okay. So one of the thing about open source is it's a large community. And it actually, when many people work on solving a problem, it gets solved, right? And technology is used for enabling the business. It has become a backbone in the business, and I would say it is at the front and center of it. So open source has really grown leaps and bounds.
Yeah, so I guess you're right. Open source is everywhere. So like one thing I'd like to know is like you described a bit about the journey. So what would you describe as the three biggest achievements of the open source movement thus far?
So there are multiple dimensions to this question that you are answering. One is the penetration of open source. It has grown leaps and bounds. It is in all aspects. So it has got key prominence in key platforms. I think one of the big success was operating system, Linux. That was a big success. So now today you see many mission critical platforms, many mission critical workloads, they run on Linux, and that's a big success. As you now go on to cloud, the basic foundation for a cloud, and today cloud, when we talk about it, we talk about hybrid cloud, and now we talk about open hybrid cloud, right? The basic thing is there is no lock-in. It gives freedom. It offers you choices. So one is that in terms of how it has gone into many things. And one thing is for sure, whatever new is coming in, whatever new technology, whatever innovation is happening, take blockchain, take AI, take AI, ML, all the pillars of digital transformation, like cloud, right? Open source is there. Open source is, I mean, people are building on top of open source, and they are differentiating their businesses using technology.
Of course, that it has been very successful, like the things you mentioned. So then the burning question is, obviously, we're living in the pandemic era. and everybody is asking about that and the tech acceleration or technological acceleration that had. So I guess the open source, it was no different. So what kind of fillip did the open source movement get in the pandemic era, and what will be the
So,
major open source trends in the 2020s? If you could just touch
so
upon both of those things.
sure, I will. So one of the thing, I mean, regardless of which technology you use, during pandemic, the digital transformation got accelerated. Now, my way of explaining digital transformation is using technology to solve complex problem, to support business processes. The businesses are continuously innovating, right? You are trying to come up with new models, new business models. They're quite disruptive. I think the mantra is either you disrupt or get disrupted. So basically, what is happening is business are continuously trying to differentiate, innovate. Even if you are trying to just survive and optimize your cost, there is a need for technology, right? During pandemic, obviously there were no choices. We had to do contactless transactions. Everything, including real estate, selling real estate, happened virtually. You weren't able to get to doctors in spite of whatever. So getting healthcare, going to school became completely virtual. Getting essential everything was led by technology. So what happened is effectively, and also forget about doing managing technology or managing data center. Even that went virtual. I know clients, especially in telco. Look at telco. What happened is, prior to pandemic, everyone used to go to a business district and go in the morning, go in the office, and come back. So the way the telcos configured their bandwidth was more towards business district. They had to actually overnight reconfigure it. So very clearly there was a need for a flexibility, there was a need for agility, and that led to more acceptance for cloud. To add to that, I mean, there was a lot of public cloud infrastructure that was built in the country. So cloud was a big movement. Okay. On top of cloud, in order to accelerate digital transformation, there was a need to build modern application, what we call as cloud native applications, right? So cloud native applications, I mean, basically you need experience like what you do on using your smartphone, that kind of application. The time to launch the product is enabled by technology. Your new product comes to life with an app, right? So those were the realities. So what really happened is a lot of innovation happened around cloud. All this change had to be managed by automation. So in cloud, Kubernetes container, that was a big thing which evolved. Okay, so that was a big platform. Okay, containers, because that gave you acceleration to building your application. That gave you a lot of flexibility. So cloud, containers, Kubernetes, and also automation. I think there were a lot of things that happened. To add to that, technologies like automation, like where we use Ansible from Red Hat perspective. What Red Hat does here is really we work with communities. We take up this some projects, and that projects we kind of convert into a product as an enterprise software, with scalable, with a clear roadmap, providing the security, and it is supported, right? So you get innovation, you get subscriptions, which is a production grade software with support, with roadmap, etc., right? So lot of innovation took place around open source. And and this is also in technologies like AML, blockchain, you name it, right? Open source is there.
So like these have been the successes in the pandemic era, and even it's been succeeding for decades. But looking
Decades.
at the other side, what are the most underutilized applications of open source currently, and how could they radically transform industries in the future?
So I think, as I said, there is a continuous innovation happening. There are millions of developers who are part of community. They are trying to solve many complex challenges. For example, during COVID times also, tracking, tracing, controlling the vaccination, keeping track of it. I mean, there are so many open source software which were used across the globe, right? So it is left to imagination, in my opinion, right? There's a lot that is happening. Look at the very vibrant startup ecosystem, or upstart as we call them, that has happened in India, right? So if you see, all of them are using technology to, whether they want to deliver goods, they want to build products, whatever. Even government, for example, today, we as citizens use a lot of services. It could be kind of Aadhaar, it could be taxation, it could be many, many other areas. So everywhere at a platform level, you will find open source. One thing I can tell you for sure, that no one knows what holds future, and it is changing rapidly. With the advent of 5G, industry 4.0, edge, it's kind of moving from core to edge, as they say, right? But one thing I can say for sure, you don't know what is going to come in future, but there's a huge possibility that it will be fueled by open source.
So, like you said, you cannot tell about the future. I know it's very difficult to gaze into the crystal ball, but finally, I'd like to ask you, because even when I entered the industry, I remember hearing the term "the future is open source." That phrase has been bandied about so much time, but we are getting closer to it, especially with the tech acceleration. So, how will this future is open source pan out, and what kind of a world will we live in, where if and when that finally happens?
So my view is it's kind of happening. Okay, it will further get accelerated. You see augmented reality, virtual reality. Basically, first thing was acceleration in speed. Okay, so far, okay, I'll tell you where it will go. So far, what you've seen in terms of digital transformation is at the edge. It's more of a customer experience and all that. Now it is moving to core. Okay, so first was more of a customer experience, then it is moving to kind of a transformation of core infrastructure, like the huge platforms that we have built, core banking, core insurance application, etc. Then it is moving to edge. Okay, the data need not flow all the way to your core data center. It should get processed where the information is collected. Then the next thing is using 5G, how all of this can be integrated. Now you take, for example, the cars, and look at, today we are talking about fleet management and stuff like that, or the how a service center get to know more insights about the car, or how the insurer gets to know about the behavior of a driver to determine what insurance, how they should cost it. But self-driven cars, look at the kind of technology that you will need. Look at the kind of data that will be generated. Look at the kind of the interfaces that you'll need. So that's one. I mean, I'm just giving you one example. Look at, say, banks. Okay, I mean, now it's a virtual kind of a bank. Look at the innovation that is happening to fintech. So I would say it is left to imagination. Okay, I mean, it will accelerate. There'll be more penetration, and more innovation will come out of open source.
So thank you. It's been a very exciting journey, as you have outlined, it's been a very exciting open source journey. And I'm sure, as you said, it's left to our imagination. So it will be interesting if in some time in the future, maybe in the metaverse, we can discuss
Yeah,
where
yeah,
the open
that's
source
another thing.
movement.
In fact, I was going there, but
Yeah,
I thought, okay, there are enough exciting stuff, and that's exactly where it is kind of. Look, take transportation.
right.
Anything that you touch, it is about application and how technology enables business.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much for your time. It's been great
Thank you.
talking to
Thank you.
you.
Great talking to you.